anyone of a crime here. Insider trading specifically relates to securities. We've been pretty clear that crypto, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum, are not securities. So I don't even know what this is. I think this is all legal, kind of. I don't think it should be, as you'll see.
Welcome to the live.
But the question is, what did this guy know? Okay, how did...
You're listening to CoffeeZilla in the background explain what happened on Friday with one of the largest crypto scams, not one of the largest, but $190 million scam with Trump's announcement of tariffs.
Somebody make $190 million while everyone else was losing their shirts yesterday. If you don't know, there was one of the biggest crashes we've ever seen in crypto. And someone came in 24 hours before and started placing shorts against the market. Short is just when you bet that the underlying asset is going to go down in price and you will make money on that. Now, this all started October 9th. At 1639 GMT time, they start accumulating this Bitcoin short. They initially put, and this is not chump change, guys. This isn't under your couch, pennies. This is $80 million that initially gets deposited.
They get used.
And they start placing shorts against Bitcoin.
I'll explain in a minute.
That's fine. Now, the amount is unusual, but that itself is not the unusual part. Then we have Ethereum starts to get shorted at 349. GMT. Interesting. $30 million gets deposited into this account. Immediately start placing major bets that the market is going to go down. Why is this significant? Well,
just waiting the more people
because
to join.
At 14:57, this is only a few hours later, like 12 hours later, Trump posts on Truth Social that they are calculating a massive increase on Chinese tariffs. This is due to a rare earth mineral dispute. But the point is, nobody knew this was coming. Except, of course, maybe this guy, because he's already got these multi-million-dollar shorts. Now, where I think this goes from suspicious to downright diabolical is the fact that at this point, the market dips a little bit because you have these threats of tariffs.
Gonna get started in just a moment.
The person does not start closing out their shorts yet, which I think is very interesting. If you place this huge short bet and then the president tweets something like this, you would think you would close out your order, but not only do they not do that, not only do they not close out their short, they continue to place short bets against Bitcoin. In fact, this person continues to short Bitcoin all the way up till 2049, 23 GMT. Why is that significant, ladies and gentlemen? It's because 2049 is the last short he places, okay? 2050 GMT. A minute later, 1 minute later, Trump announces they're considering an 100% tariff on China, which of course tanks the market. And this person makes literally $190 million in 24 hours. Meaning the guy was placing shorts up to 1 minute before Trump announces this big, huge 100% tariffs. And then, by the way, immediately as if he knew something, we start seeing the shorts close only 30 minutes later. So both the ETH and Bitcoin short closed 30 minutes later. By the way, these accounts were funded by the same people. This is the same person making.
All right. So what you're listening to there is CoffeeZilla and his analysis of the $190 million grift that happened on Friday. That was just one grift. And this is just another example. And I don't know, my channel, if you're new to this channel, is about eliminating corruption from our political system and replacing all career politicians from both parties. And I don't know how we can tolerate this, so I wanted to do a quick video on this. Womp womp. Like, you think this is a small deal? Womp womp. Like, give me a break. Do you have any credibility whatsoever as an American? Do you have any values whatsoever? When you have people at the top that are grifting like this, this was a $190 million fraud that happened on Friday. Clearly insider information. And this is not conjecture. This is fact, because in the blockchain, when it comes to Bitcoin, you can track every trade and how this was shorted. You just don't know who it was specifically. And it looks like, if you saw that Trump's tweet today, that he's basically chickening out of, or maybe not, you still don't know what he's doing. But this is clear, just another grift that's happening when Trump threatened 100% tariffs on China on Friday and tanked the market. This was just looked like pure market manipulation because he tanked the markets. And then today he says in a tweet on Truth Social, or whatever you call it, he claims that don't worry about China. Xi's not going to want to do anything crazy, and he's basically eased the markets. And as of right now, it looks like the futures are rising, and the market will go back to normal possibly tomorrow. But I don't know how we as Americans can tolerate this level of blatant corruption that's happening by our government. And thanks for the join the fan clubs and all that. That's really appreciated to spread this to more people. Like, how do we tolerate this as Americans? I don't care if you were a Trump voter in the past. You cannot defend the indefensible on the grifter in chief that is using his market manipulation abilities on Truth Social and Twitter to enrich his friends. Is it Barron Trump? Is it his son that's coordinated with it? Is it Peter Navarro, the economic advisor? But it is constant manipulation by grifters. He may not be the only one. You can talk about stock trading by congressional leaders and so forth. It's all wrong. It's all bullshit, right? And we sit here as regular hardworking Americans, and someone says, I don't use my tools. Well, I use them for therapeutic purposes now, not for full time. So I do use my tools, but they do tend to not get used as much as they used to. But I love building shit and I love fixing shit. And that's why I do these lives to talk about eliminating corruption from our government. Thanks for all the likes to help spread this far and wide. If you haven't followed and you don't know TK Civics, I don't just talk about problems like I'm doing today a little bit, but I always want to talk about the solutions. And again, most of my channel attracts people from the left and the right because we all know eliminating corruption from our political system by special interest corporations and billionaires and the lobbyists as the number one root cause of every single issue in our country. People think that's the only way we're going to unite people around. It's about top versus bottom. It's about the powerful versus the weak. It's about the rich versus the poor. It's about the haves versus the have-nots. Instead of the left and right stuff regarding particular issues, it's all about the top powerful versus the rest of us. And I don't know how we're going to continue to tolerate this. So if you want to jump in the box and let me know and you can join, we can talk about this latest grift and we're going to see what happens tomorrow. Do the markets go back to normal? And how many people in the traditional markets, in addition to this $190 million grift that happened on Friday, how many other people ended up making out due to pure market manipulation and fraud? Because this is what this would be under any other circumstances. This is complete fraud where he is enriching his network of friends and manipulating the market, right? He has done it numerous times. And we sit here and we think that this is the way it works. This is the new politics, right? Where you should just accept it. Yeah, we know they're all corrupt, but they're all corrupt. And this is the new way. Just take it and move on with our lives. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that. We shouldn't be letting that happen. We should be getting involved and looking to a future solution that removes all existing career politicians from our political system, from both parties. And it can happen. People will say it can't happen. If you had 50 to 70 million people that supported this effort, it certainly could happen, and it likely would happen. But it just takes a little bit of unity around one single thing, and that is the corruption by big money. This is the enemy of the people. The big money is our enemy. And until we stop fighting about all the other things that too are important, but are less important, whether it's immigration, abortion, gun rights, whatever, this is the problem of our time. And if we keep getting divided by the other things, then we'll never solve this thing. And that's what we have to do. So if you want to jump in the box and let me know your thoughts on this, I usually don't like to just point out something that Trump, this is not about attacking necessarily Trump. This is about attacking corruption. Like everything, I can pick every single topic that you see on Reddit or in the news. And I promise you, every single thing comes back to corruption in our political system. And that's what I'm hell-bent on trying to do whatever I can to do that, to try and help get people to recognize that no matter whether it's Trump or whether it's Nancy Pelosi with her stock trades or other congressional leaders with their stock trades, is that it's all wrong. It just happens to be, this is the biggest one. This is the biggest issue of our time, is allowing this corruption to be normalized. And it's blatant. It is so blatant by Peter Navarro, by Trump, and his other administration officials, and that we're not doing anything about this. So awesome with the likes and the badges and the fan clubs. Please remember to follow me here because I talk a lot about Kathy, stop boo-hooing. No, I'm not going to stop boo-hooing. Why don't you start boo-hooing and actually get some values, right? Instead of just saying, oh, boo-hoo, and you think you're going to actually sit there and think that this is not one of the many problems that we shouldn't fix is corruption. And you're going to make a ridiculous comment that says, stop boo-hooing. No, I'm not going to stop boo-hooing. You should stick with me. If you want to eliminate corruption from our government and you care about your lives whatsoever, and you want to bring some integrity back to politics, back me, support this channel, and we can actually do something about it instead of you just, making a ridiculous comment. Yeah, I'll call you out when I see silly stuff. Trump is winning all the time. That's right. Trump is winning all the time for himself, not for us. So I'm going to have Shooter 87 come in. Let's stick to the topic about grifting. What are your thoughts on this grift? Are you think this is just another, we should just accept it? Or do you think,
hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey man, how you doing, Shooter?
Good. How are you?
Good, dude. You can tell I'm a little hyped up and on this, which I do sometimes, but I want to make my point very clear. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we're seeing the end of a freaking 2-year war. Hostages are coming home, man. I tell you, dude. Like, I don't think anybody else was going to pull that off, man. I really don't. What do you think?
You're taking regarding grifting, regarding the hostages coming home in Israel? Like, where are you making the connection?
Well, I mean, where do we have American hostages still?
Okay. Still on took 2 years, right? So that's not really the topic I'm focusing on today. So you're just giving Trump credit?
You should, though. There's people going to be united with their families tonight.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. It just happens not to be what I'm talking about today. Absolutely. Hey, when we can eliminate...
You going to give Trump some credit there or no?
Well, you going to give credit to other administrations that have done the same thing? Would you give credit to killing Osama bin Laden?
Of course.
Yeah.
The Navy SEALs did it. Yeah.
This is diplomatic success, but I don't know what you're bringing this up for because we're talking about grifting and market manipulation.
Well, I'm just telling you that, tonight is something that, you should probably... Do you drink?
No, I don't drink.
You don't drink at all?
Minor. No, I do drink some, but not much, no.
Well, you probably should open a beer, man. There's going to be American families celebrating tonight.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. That's awesome. Absolutely.
So would you say, Trump, will you say it, that he deserves that credit?
So you don't know my channel, obviously. I am a fierce independent, a staunch independent. I am against both parties equally. I criticize both parties and all individuals. So when there's a success, there's a diplomatic success like there's today, that's awesome. It is absolutely awesome for those families. It took 2 years. This is a very complicated topic, but obviously not the topic I'm choosing to talk about at this moment. All right. Well, appreciate it. Thanks, Shooter. Thanks for joining. I just want to keep it on topic. We're talking about the market manipulation because today when I woke up and a friend of mine, we're doing some workout earlier last week, and we were talking exactly when is the next grift happening, about, when does the next market manipulation happen? And it happened 2 days later, which we were surprised to see it happen that fast. So anyway, does anyone else want to jump in the box and actually keep it on topic, or do you just want to talk about other things, which are, if no one wants to talk about this, I can come back with a different topic, but I thought this is something because it relates to corruption, right? This, again, was a $190 million grift just on the crypto side that we know of. And, of course, there were many other grifts happening as well on the other side. So, Rick, you're going to join? All right. Welcome back, Rick. Can you hear me, Rick?
What's up, TK?
What's up, Rick? So how you...
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're always on the road or something, aren't you?
I would never, ever, not ever would I be driving while on TikTok. I would never do that.
Perfect. Very good. Good to hear. Thanks for answering it in a roundabout way or directly.
Are you ready to blame capitalism yet? Because, that's what's going on. They're just making money. They're just doing what will make them the best bottom line possible.
Yeah, I am blaming
like
unregulated capitalism, yes, is a problem here, yeah, without a doubt.
Well, I mean, the people who are supposed to be regulating are the ones that are doing it. So what do you do about that?
That's a good question. What are you going to do? All governments, no matter what government you're talking about, if you were trying to eliminate fraud, it's going to take the government and the people in government to prevent these frauds from happening. True.
Sure. To me, I think that there should be extra governmental things that we need to do to the economy to prevent this sort of thing.
Right, right. I mean, you could claim other capitalistic or social capitalistic countries would have better enforcement of their existing laws or have more laws in place to prevent these things from happening, right?
Well, I tell you, there was a corruption case in Vietnam, I think like a year or two ago now, and she was basically using shell companies and like her cousins and stuff to like hold way more money than she should have been able to. Like there's limits to like how much you can own in Vietnam because of the Communist Party there.
Right.
And she was slated for execution for that. You know, I think if we just did a couple of those, I think that the billionaires would probably be willing to get in line a lot more than they have been, because they haven't seen any consequences in a very long time. Not since the Battle of Blair Mountain or something.
Right.
Like that.
Well, I think you may have a little bit harsher of a point of view, but if you just had it serious fines and penalties and jail time, you'd accomplish much the same thing.
Sure. The thing is like the only way to really stop that from happening is to like put hard limits on capitalism itself.
No,
like,
hard limits. You don't. No, like, you just need to make sure taxation is fair and you're actually enforcing the regulations. And
how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? How are you and I going to do that? The people who are doing the grift are the ones that are in power to stop it.
Well, you're supposed to have a Justice Department that's independent from the executive branch, and of course, the different branches of all the federal prosecutors throughout the country are the ones that are supposed to start to do this and have historically done a much better job than what's happening today.
I mean, if wishes were fishes, TK.
Like, hey man, nothing is perfect. I'm not ever seeking perfection. I'm seeking, a direction that's maybe getting better, right?
Look, begging the system that's fucking us is not gonna solve the problem.
Oh, I'm not begging.
To be willing. We have to be willing to like the only way that you can stop is to use your power, the actual power you do have, to like stop like massive, like if there was a mass strike tomorrow, things would change, right? If there was people using their Second Amendment rights to stop this sort of thing, that things would change, but they're not. What you're saying is that like we need to vote in better people. They're just going to get bought off too.
No, that's not true. That's true if you don't make other changes as well. But my positions. I think you do. Is if you have.
I know what you want, but I don't know how you plan on getting it.
Well, what do you mean you don't know? I got the plan right there. But of course, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it could happen, and it would happen if enough people supported it. It's really simple. The power is always in the people, right? You have enough people who decide to do something.
People already support it, though.
No, but people don't. No, people support the problem. People know the problems exist, that they don't actually know how to solve them, because no one's talking about solving the problems. Everyone's just talking about the problems.
Well, because we don't have the power. Like, here's the thing: is like you still believe that democracy works in the U.S. Not as a concept, but that we still live in a functional democracy.
No, I actually don't. I don't actually believe that. Just so you know, remember I've said functionally, I don't believe it is working, right? I think we're in a corporatocracy. Technically, we're still a democracy, but I don't believe we're functioning as a democracy.
But your solution involves using the democratic system to change things. But if we don't live in a democracy, how's that going to work?
Because we're not functioning as one on an everyday basis, but we still have, as long as it lasts, we still have the power to vote out and to use the power of the people to change things. Now, you could make a claim that the elections are fraudulent and there's trouble with that, and you could have valid claims there. But as of right now, I still believe that if enough people came together to eliminate the corruption, it could happen. And it could involve strikes as well. It could involve various things. But as of right now, there's enough democracy still in play and enough voting and enough checks and balances that it could happen. Now, I think I might be wrong in 5 years from now or 10 years from now.
They have voting in Russia, right? They have voting in Hungary.
No, they don't have any opposition.
They do.
No, it's opposition that no one knows. They would never vote for them because they're just not relevant enough. So they would never be voted in. And even if they were getting the votes aren't counted fairly.
Which party do we have that's in opposition to the corruption, TK?
No, none. That's a great point, Rick. You're
Right,
exact.
so we don't have opposition parties either. Not really.
What? But
Not
you
opposed
could,
to
right?
The problems that we have.
You could if the
No.
if in
I've
theory.
ran for office as a Green before. I've literally ran for state house as a Green. I was even an elector for Howie Hawkins. If Howie Hawkins had won Michigan, I would have went to sit in the electoral college myself personally. And let me tell you the thing about third parties. The Green Party's been trying to get ballot access regularly, like guaranteed ballot access for about
Right. They're always having to fight for it.
Now.
Right. And they're always having to fight for it.
Well, and it takes millions of dollars. Every year, they spend millions of dollars on lawyers.
Yeah, but so what? I never understood that argument though, Rick.
To even get on the ballot, to even be like, not to like
It's
run
not important. Yeah, but here's the difference where you and I view things. It's not important to get on the ballot. It's important to have enough support before you even get onto the ballot. Just getting on the ballot in every state is irrelevant if you don't have enough support, because people won't throw away their votes for a third party unless there's enough movement beforehand.
Right, but to do that, you need to have control over the media.
Maybe
you don't have that either.
Maybe that's true. No, but to do that, in theory, let's say you took someone that had enough money, and I'm not claiming this is what I would want, but just as one example, if you took a famous individual that was involved in politics, let's say Mr. Beast was really popular, he has the reach, he has the following, and let's say he was a brilliant.
He could do it.
What's that?
No, I agree with you there. If you have like a billionaire who could buy out all of the media, you could do it.
Or if you have someone that's extremely popular already on YouTube. For instance, as a horrible example, but nonetheless, if they had a following and a reach, they could do it.
I mean, maybe. There's a lot of people who have a lot of reach that still don't, like, I don't know, there's like Hassan Piker, or there's like...
Who's that?
There are people who have lots of reach that don't get, like there's like people with millions of followers.
Yeah, so it takes two things, right? It's either someone who's really popular and has reach or enough money to do it already, or someone that rises up organically that can do it. I'm not saying it's easy. I've never claimed it's easy. I'm just saying it's not complex. Like you always, I appreciate your pessimism because it's reality. It's grounded in some reality, but there's also...
I've just seen it.
I know, I understand that, and you get jaded. You get jaded, and so I understand it.
It's not about being jaded. It's about being realistic, TK. Like you don't have a plan for ballot access at all.
Oh, sure I do.
You don't have. Like, how are you going to get ballot access in Oklahoma?
Well, I have to go through every state. I don't have to, every ballot access in each state is obviously.
Exactly.
I'm not suggesting. I don't want to be on the ballot. I'm not looking to get on the ballot ever.
State. Yeah, well, and that's the thing is you don't even have a candidate.
Right, of course not. Because the candidates are the cart before the horse, as you would like to say.
I mean, like you need a party first. Like you need, like there's like all sorts of stuff. Like you have a wish list, right? It's not a plan. It's just a wish list. There's no active, like what if I were to say like I'm totally on board, TK. What should I do right now?
All you can do is help spread the message. That's it. That's all you can do. It's like you said. It's a wish list right now, for sure. It's a high level plan that would take, but nothing can happen until you have someone stands up and has enough reach and enough either money or reach or relevancy. Then it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if it was a billionaire, if it was a famous YouTuber, or anyone else with relevancy. The rest of the plan is irrelevant until you get someone that becomes relevant. Otherwise, everything else is just a waste of time.
I'm not buying it, man.
Hey.
Like this is like, how do you get people on board if you don't have a plan? Like.
Right. What do you mean? I do have a plan. It's a high level plan. If you have you read the plan?
I'll be honest, I haven't.
Okay.
I've heard you talk about it a lot. I've been here a lot. You know that.
Yeah, I haven't really talked about the plan very much.
you've alluded to it a lot. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
But like the idea of like passing restrictions on campaign finance or whatever, like getting rid of corruption, X, Y, and Z way, it like everyone supports that. The people already support it, but we don't really live in a democracy. So like, how are we gonna do that?
No, everyone supports it sort of in the background, but they don't think about it regularly because they're always being distracted by immigration or gun rights or abortion or by something else. They're all arguing about frivolous stuff.
Some of those things aren't so frivolous, though.
You're right.
Like,
you're right.
Like as a queer person, when it comes to queer rights, like people talk about that like it's frivolous, but like I could die. Like I've been assaulted before, right? Like this is like it's not
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I used a poor word there. I always say they're important issues. They're just less important than the most than the principle that there should be no little corruption.
Like whether or not Trump makes another $100 billion is not life or death for me.
No, but you know what does? No, but this topic, like talking about the corruption, brings another 60 people or another 120 people to realize that maybe there's a plan to cure it. So you're right. So none of this really it's a small issue, but it's an awareness. It's like raising awareness to the corruption. That's what's important. That's all I care to do.
I don't think people are unaware. I think
I do.
Knows that.
Everybody knows it.
Everybody knows that politicians are corrupt in the U.S. Like everyone in the whole world knows that.
Yeah, but but everyone will fight. There would be a red or blue side to every single issue except for this issue. And when it comes to corruption and politics, it's the only issue where red and blue and everybody in between agrees with. So there is nothing else that I can possibly imagine in our politics that brings the vast majority of Americans together that has the potential to make people think differently about our politicians or our political process.
I think that this is evidence that we don't live in a democracy. Because if everybody agrees we should stop the corruption, and we lived in a rule by the people, which is what democracy means, then the corruption would be stopped.
No. Democracy is a participation sport, and when most people are distracted by other things in their own lives and how they're going to afford to pay for their food and their housing and other things, those things take more precedence over actually coming together around eliminating corruption.
The last two elections we had some of the highest turnouts in history. The last two presidential elections.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, there's only two practical options to vote for, and like you said earlier, we both agree that both parties are corrupted. So nothing changes by just voting left or right.
That's not exactly true, though. There are other options. Like I voted green in the last
election. From a practical perspective, right? In a technical perspective, you're right. But again, those are not practical options because there is no movement. Because there's not enough support.
But there is a movement. You just don't want to be a part of it. Have you ever voted for the Green Party?
Yes, I have, but not frequently.
Or the Constitutionalists? It's just like it's not like. Let me ask you, what do you have that the Green Party doesn't have? Because they're against corruption. That's like a huge part. That's like one of the main things is that they won't take any money from super PACs. They won't take any money from corporations. That's part of the party platform. The biggest, most important part of the party platform.
Okay. But they have no relevancy, and I have no relevancy.
So what do you got that they don't?
What does it matter? I mean, the point is, I'm just trying to raise awareness to the problem. I wouldn't care if it's the Green Party. I don't care if it's independents. I don't care if it's a new third party. I don't care if it's the Democratic or Republican Party. I don't care who does it.
We need another.
You're breaking up, Rick. I might have to kick you. You're in a bad zone because I know you would never be driving on TikTok.
Have you considered backing a candidate? Have you considered backing a candidate in the Green primary next year? I
am nobody. I wouldn't back anybody until I know. I wouldn't tell anyone to vote a certain way until I know there's actually a practical outcome that could happen. So no, I would not tell anyone to vote blue or red or anything else until there's actually a real possibility of it happening. It makes no
like what's the time frame on this plan of yours?
Whatever it takes. It'll maybe never happen. It'll probably never happen. But if there's enough people, it will happen. I don't put a time frame. This is it's like building a new company, and you try and take one step at a time. You can't think of, you can have a vision, but you don't drive directly towards the vision. All you try and do is educate and inform.
He's holding the baton right now, Rick. TK's holding the baton. He's trying to get it to go in the right direction. I think the hope is that maybe somebody pops into these streams, these lives, that has the same or a similar idea. They have maybe a huge following, a lot of money, that maybe they could be a potential assistant, an ally in the idea.
Yeah, well said, Mr. Global. See,
how many people run for president every election? How many do you think?
that's a good question. What is it, like 5 or 7 or 15, 12-ish?
No, it's more like around 1,000.
Repeat yourself. You just dropped out.
Around 1,000 people.
Okay.
Around 1,000.
Right. Most of which have no relevancy whatsoever. So it's a waste of time, right?
Right, but what do you got that they don't? You know, like this is the thing.
Who knows? Who knows? Here, Rick, let me put it to you this way. Let me explain it this way. Because again, I understand your pessimism. I have the same pessimism many times. But it's either I wake up in the morning and I try and promote some positive direction. I have 16,500 followers on TikTok right now and much, much fewer on YouTube. I'm nobody. There's not even a ripple. But maybe someday I have 100,000. You know what? Maybe I inspire 20 other people to talk about the same thing. Maybe some of those people can deliver it in a way better than I can. Maybe some people attract more people than I can. It doesn't matter whether it's me or someone else. But you create a movement or a wave and you try and convince people to see the light in a lot of darkness, right? And move things in the right direction. And maybe someone like me does get 100,000 followers across YouTube and TikTok, and that's still nothing. And I will get there. I will certainly blow through 100,000. I have no problem with that, but 100,000 is still nothing. But then maybe there's 500,000. Maybe there's someday 1 million. Now, if it takes me 2 or 3 years to get to 1 million, or somebody else does, now you actually start having a budding of a little rose that starts to bud. And then you start reaching network effects, right? And once you reach network effects, which are typically oftentimes like 1 million people, then something starts to grow. And you don't have to have candidates yet. You don't have to have any of that yet. All you need to do is grow a movement. And then things start to happen. Like Mr. Global said, people will come, opportunities will arise. Money can possibly be raised if you need that. So I don't have to worry about all the challenges ahead. All I have to worry about, what is the next step right in front of me?
Politics isn't an app. It's not an app.
Of course it is. It has the same network effects of people buying into something.
No.
How did
Have a call to action.
Of course
you have a call to action.
Right? I do have a call to action. Absolutely. Let's eliminate corruption.
What your call to action was, and you said you didn't have one.
I never said that.
You're like,
No, I never said I don't have a call to action. I have a very clear call. So then if you don't think I have a call to action, it's the 28th and 29th Amendment, right? 28th Amendment to eliminate corruption from our political system, and the 29th Amendment for term limits, making sure being a politician is not a career. That's an action plan.
Yeah, but that's also not a call to action because it's not something I can do. Like, I can't pass an amendment.
Of course not. But
you can tell people all day, like, this is what you want to get done, but like, this is different than an app, because an app, I just need to download it, right? That's what you want, right?
No. An app, getting someone to download an app doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't make a business. Getting someone to use an app on a regular basis and then maybe buy some things in the application and use it every day, then you have something. I've built a lot of apps. Some of them have been very successful and some of them have been complete failures. Getting someone to download an app is meaningless.
Sure, but you don't even have that. Like, you have like an idea of what you want to get done. And there's no step between the people who you're talking to and getting it done. There's zero things the average American can do to pass an amendment. There's absolutely nothing.
What's your suggestion, Rick, then?
Just be defeatist and go hide in your cave, I think.
No. no. I believe in building dual power. I think you should join a communist party and start organizing your community.
Okay, let's please. That's never going to happen, Rick. And
it is happening. I've seen it happen.
I've
seen material results in my real life from things like that.
Okay.
But isn't it a double-edged sword though? Communism isn't perfect. There are many things wrong with communism. Can you agree with that?
I mean, what do you mean, like wrong with communism itself, or wrong with like the thing like attempts at communism?
Well, I mean, just our normal everyday examples of what communism is in those countries. I think we can find things wrong with them. They're not perfect.
Like, communism is just a movement to liberate the working class. That's all the communism is. That's what the word means.
Can you just rebrand it? Is there a way for you to rebrand it? Because as soon as you say that, okay.
Because I'll tell you why. This is really simple. 2 reasons. One, we're not the only communists in the world. There's lots of communists in the world. That being part of the international movement is important. And the other is that education is more important than trying to sell somebody on something. Like, the problem is that people think communism is wrong, and trying to convince people otherwise is the important work that we need to do.
It is wrong, Rick. Communism and fascism have relatively the same outcomes for people that are not.
That's ridiculous.
It is not ridiculous. The persecution.
Thing to say.
No, it's not. I've done the research on it.
Of who? Of who?
Both communism and fascism. That the practical outcomes are very similar.
That's ridiculous.
Well, in your mind, it's ridiculous.
600 million people out of poverty.
All right, let's stop. Rick, stop. Stop. All right, I'm going to say it one more time, Rick. I'm going to say it one more time. Stop.
Do you want to talk or not?
No, I'm not going to, because we're talking to Americans here. We're talking to Americans who believe in freedom. Hopefully they believe in democracy. They believe in liberty. At least I hope so.
Democracy.
What's that?
Cuba has a more robust democracy than the United States does.
Okay. All right, Rick, we always go down this. I always appreciate you having you on, but when we go down the communist rabbit hole, I'm not going to entertain it because I don't believe most Americans actually give a shit about your perspectives on communism or fascism.
They don't give a shit about your perspectives on corruption either. Dude.
That's fine, but then you can create a channel on communism and see if people will watch your channel.
I do it regularly.
Awesome.
Regularly. I reach, I don't know, I have not quite as, I get banned a lot because of it.
Rick, I appreciate your perspectives and your beliefs, and you can and should promote them however you want. And I will do the same on my channel, right? And I do welcome you here, but when it goes down the rabbit's hole of you trying to promote communism, when I fully believe in capitalism and democracy and the founding fathers and what the values that they set forth, which I know you also don't agree with, I'm just not going to entertain it. So when it gets to us arguing about this stuff, no, I'm going to shut you down on it.
I want to be clear. I did not try to promote communism. I was just pushing back against you being anti-communist.
I'm pro-capitalism and pro-freedom. That's it. I'm pro...
Those two things are mutually exclusive.
Okay. That's fine.
All
right. But that, again... So we have different views. That's great. Everybody here got to hear those views. I'm going to see if anyone else wants to join in. I do like having these discussions, and especially when we stayed on topic regarding, what is the plan and action plans, because you bring up a lot of good points there, and nothing is completely figured out because everything is subject to change.
Can I recommend a book to you before we leave?
Sure, please.
There's a book called Blood in My Eye by George Jackson. He was a civil rights activist in the 60s that was imprisoned for it. Great book, and it's about getting things done and changing things politically and how to actually fight against things like corruption, fight against things that like seem like they're impossible in politics.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that.
I recommend it. But yeah.
Okay, I got it up on Wikipedia and Amazon right now. All right, thanks, man. See ya. Okay. All right. What do you guys think of the communist versus capitalism debate we just had? He's passionate. I'm passionate. We're all passionate.
Yeah. That's you've heard me say that many times.
Yeah. Socialism, communism never work. Thanks for joining again. I know this topic was interesting. I just wanted to connect it back to, you weren't here, I don't think, in the beginning, about the $190 million crypto grift on Friday that was timed exactly to Trump's tweets, and that someone behind Trump, this wasn't just like, hey, we're going to put a few dollars in and short the market. They actually invested $80 million to short the crypto market. And 1 minute before Trump's final announcement of the 100% tariffs, that 80 million turned into a $190 million profit. So you can imagine that no one's risking $80 million, even someone who's a billionaire, on something that they're not sure is going to happen.
Yeah, somebody's pulling the levers and pushing the buttons, and they're doing it without any obstacles.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be Eric Trump. I think it could be Barron Trump. Now, if it's family related, I think it could be Peter Navarro, or obviously people behind on the crypto movement. Obviously, the crypto bros are really behind Trump, and someone has his ear, and this is obviously coordinated. Tyleman's asking, what is taco? And it means Trump's always chickens out, meaning he threatens tariffs. Most of the time, they don't go through entirely, and then he backs off, because when he threatens tariffs, the markets tank. And then he changes his mind, and that makes the seesaw action of the markets. And whether it's the crypto market or traditional markets, if you know it's coming, you can make a lot of money.
Especially if you're leveraging.
Yeah, especially if you're leveraging. Yeah, 10% of is Bitcoin gone. You can't be serious. What I'm not serious about, Tom, in 2024, what am I not serious about? If anyone else wants to jump in with Mr. Global and I and talk about the grifting that's happening over the weekend. It seems like, quite a few people are interested in this topic. And if you don't know what happened, I'll give you the quick synopsis. We know this for a fact on the crypto markets because everything that happens on the blockchain is completely visible and transparent. With the exception is you don't know who it is. So it's like a Reddit because it's anonymous. So the IRS can figure it out. Actually, you know, people that work in that industry and can figure out who it might be, but it takes some investigation. So what happened was that someone shorted the Bitcoin and Ethereum market on Friday. If you're familiar with CoffeeZilla, he's a crypto investigator, I guess, if you want to call it, and he always pays attention to the grifting that's happened on the crypto market. So this also is clearly happening with the traditional markets, the regular financial tech markets. But we know exactly what happened on the crypto market, with the exception of who, because everything is transparent on the blockchain, on the ledger. So if you're not sure what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. And I wasn't going to talk about it too long today, but I just wanted to see if people cared. It seems like some people do care about this manipulation. And I always want to tie it back to my intent, which is that we should not be tolerating any of this corruption and this market manipulation and this grifting, no matter who it is, whether it's Trump or whether you think it was Nancy Pelosi with her stock trades or any insider trading that's happening in Congress. It's all wrong, right? We all know it's wrong and it shouldn't be happening. So I just picked Trump today because obviously he's at the top of the executive branch and he's the most influential person in the world when it comes to manipulating markets. And he's clearly been one of the biggest grifters and market manipulators in political history. So can be no debate about that, but it's not to say that it doesn't happen at much lower levels as well. I'm just saying we should be sick and tired of it and just stop normalizing it and saying, oh, it's just the way it is. You know, the rich keep getting richer and the people in power just they make more money and we're okay with it. I'm not okay with it.
I'm slowly believing, or I'm starting to think that maybe this is more of I don't know, I hate to say it, and I don't have any facts or information or evidence to prove it, but something tells me in my gut that this is Barron. I think it's his sons. It feels like they're all kind of behind the scenes doing these types of, it's not a complete rug pull, but they're manipulating it with influence and power and words and tweets and
yeah.
And
It's hard to say. Like, there are rumors of it possibly Barron being involved. It's just that you just don't know anything. So I wouldn't ever want to suggest it is. There are rumors, but they're just rumors. There's nothing, because who knows anything about this kid? Like, no one knows. He has no track record, no history. Eric Trump, on the other hand, tweets things. Like, he tweeted on Thursday, said, buy the dip. Like, he literally said on a tweet on Thursday, buy the dip. And he also said that before Independence Day, what's it called? Liberation Day, earlier in May, he did the same thing. So clearly Eric seems to know what's happening, or it's going to happen. So does that mean there's something, a tie in between Eric and Barron? Or, I don't put a lot of, again, I don't know anything about Barron, but Eric is just a nitwit. He's just not a smart kid, smart guy. So, there's Peter Navarro, who's a convicted criminal, who's the economic advisor. I can see it being him. And then I actually think it's actually some David Sachs, who runs the crypto department, who oversees part of the crypto, whoever manages the crypto department for the administration. He's very knowledgeable about crypto, and he's part of the same group that we've talked about in the past, the corporate monarchs.
Yeah, I read this article. What it came out was October 6, 2025. It was an article about Barron Trump's net worth, and the article was claiming that he's made over $150 million from crypto, allegedly.
Yeah. And if you go back to the Trump coin and Melania coin, Nick, Trump has no clue what's going on when it comes to blockchain technology. Like, this is people that are making him a deal like, hey, we'll give you 20% of our earnings, 30% or 50%, whatever it might be. And it's other people that created the Trump coin and the Melania coin. And those are complete rug pulls. And those are happening by the crypto bros that are found their way to Mar-a-Lago and have made transactional relationships with them. All right, total manipulation going on with Trump and his houses. People don't exist to Trump. Not quite sure whether that means Democrats are done. Democrat Party is over. Give it up. I am not a Democrat, Ant-Man. I am an independent, but I am for having as much political opposition and options as possible. And like Rick mentioned earlier, we only have two parties right now that are practical. So that's a problem, and it has been for a while. And we need to try and stop that. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't read the plan yet, like even Rick didn't read the plan, and he's on here all the time. So I can just only ask you to, takes 5 minutes to read the plan. If you care about your lives and our democracy, please read the plan. It's tinyurl.com/TK Civics plan. And all I can do is ask you to follow me here and share someone or repost some of my videos, especially the top three most pinned video, the 3 pinned videos under my profile, and share those, because eventually I'll get to 100,000 followers. I just started this account early this summer, and eventually I'll get to 100,000. And if I continue to do what I'm doing, I think I'll reach more people. Whether you are a Trump supporter or you're someone on the left, I'm pretty sure I can convince you to stop arguing about some of these important issues, but less important issues than eliminating corruption. And if those people, even on the MAGA side, that if you really want to eliminate the deep state or the swamp, or if you're a leftist and you want to prevent oligarchy, then I ask you to stick with me or someone else like me that's doing something similar. Realize that no matter who it is, if there's 50 to 70 million people that actually want to change and take back our government from both parties and bring representation back to the people, it can happen, but it's going to take 50 to 70 million people. Like Rick, who we talked to a few minutes ago, is pessimistic. Like, he doesn't believe it can happen because there's other options that no one knows about, like the Green Party and so forth. But that's where it's not practical. You first have to have the support in the community, whether you have enough money to grow that support, you have enough relevancy or influence to get that support, whatever it takes, you have to have the relevancy first. So I hope I inspire 10 more people, 20 more people, 100 people, maybe that incredible person that steps up and says, I want to take this baton because I can get it even further and deeper and spread this message far and wide. So that's all it takes, is enough people. So, because we have countless numbers of people on both the left and the right side that are always screaming about the problems and blaming one side or the other side. There's no shortage of those people. And those people are manipulating the heck out of every one of us to fight with each other and blame the other side. It's always blame, 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 instead of, hey, figure out what we agree with, and then let's unite and then tackle so that we can eradicate all of it. And it's just a mindset. I firmly believe that, but I can't ever prove it unless we have enough people that support it. It's really that simple. So please follow, and thanks for all the likes and the fan clubs and so forth to spread this message far and wide and share those videos. So that's a little bit of housekeeping. I always make my motive very, very clear. I'm not trying to be an influencer or a content creator. This is just part of what you have to do in order to grow relevancy. And I've been told in the past, like, hey, you should talk about this stuff because you seem to know a lot about civics and you seem to be able to communicate things in a way that seems rational and is not divisive. And if that's the case, then awesome. That's what I'll continue to try and do. Do you know how to read the markets? Rob Mango, I don't know why you're asking me that. No, I don't know how to read the market. Sometimes you think that a certain thing is going to make it go down versus up. I don't know. I'm not a market expert. I'm not even an expert in many aspects, but I do try and promote civics whenever I possibly can. Billionaire in many countries are laughing at Trump and Republicans. You need to read and understand. I'm not sure. Anybody else want to join in the box and give me your thoughts about this grift that's happening and what's going to happen tomorrow when the market opens? It seems like, what's October 18th? It seems like the market is going to, I haven't looked at the futures lately, but the market's going to rise tomorrow. And people say it's such a great economy, but most people aren't in the market. Most Americans are not in the market. And if they are, there's like 45% of the people in the market in some capacity because they have 401ks, but they're only 10 or 15% of the people that are in the market with a substantial amount of their money. So most Americans are not in the market, and just having a great market doesn't make our country rich. Oh, October 18th, No King's Day. Oh, I just started reading earlier today. I didn't know what the date was on No King's Day. So who's organizing No King's Day this year? I mean, this year, this time around, because the last time I know is a whole bunch of progressive groups. I'm all for protesting and so forth. I just don't think it has any tangible effect because you have to protest with tens of millions of people on just not for a couple hours and it goes away. And it shouldn't be endorsed by a bunch of liberal groups. That to me, that defeats the purpose, right? We've proven over the past 30 years that protests do very little, if anything at all, and that we would need something more comprehensive. So it's great. We should protest. I would never tell anybody not to protest because you never know what could come out of a protest. But at the same time, I don't think it's anything that's going to change things. I think it needs to be something much more transformational than just a few protests here and there, especially when they're just pretty much created and backed by a bunch of liberal progressive groups. All right, Red Iron Ranch, you're here a lot. Thanks for joining again. I appreciate you. I think you were on this live yesterday or the day before. If you have anything to say about this, that would be awesome. If not, let's see if anyone else wants to join into the box. So what do you guys think about this grifting? Tell me if I'm wrong. If you guys think that I'm just nuts, that we should just accept it, or you think we're fighting the good fight? Are we fighting the fight to try and understand that this should not be normalized, that the corruption in our political system has continued to get worse? Most importantly, ever since Reagan, Clinton, Bush, and then Citizens United, the constant erosion of campaign finance reform has pretty much been the nail in the coffin for us having a pure representative democracy, not even a pure representative democracy where we actually have representation that's representing the people. So over the past 40 years now, the erosion of all those campaign finance reforms has really hurt us as a society. We've always had problems, right? Citizens United in 2014, that was the final nail in the coffin, as they say. But of course, it wasn't the only thing that happened. There's been an erosion of campaign finance for about 40 years, and that's what's put everybody into power. What's up, Red Iron?
Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. So on your topic today, there's no way possible that this should be acceptable by the American people. This the market manipulation is just outrageous.
Well, that's great. There's
I do a
there's
little
two of us that feel
training.
that way now. Wow.
Yes, two. Well, I'm in a Discord group and we do a little bit of stock trading, and the outrage was very apparent on Friday.
Was it because of the crypto scam, or is it also just because of you guys thought there's just obviously this is just another market manipulation on the traditional finance side?
Just another market manipulation. In my group, we don't do a lot of crypto. It's stocks, and there was a trader who made I think it was 192 million shorting the market Friday, and making that kind of money, you had to have clear knowledge that this was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And, maybe you thought, sometimes I always think maybe a little naively, like, oh, okay, maybe the tariffs are really going to be a thing this time. And I'm not for that whatsoever, but not thinking that over the weekend, he's just going to basically change his tune.
Exactly. And that's what he does. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people make a significant amount of money because they knew that he was going to change his tune.
Yep. I was bike riding with a friend on Tuesday who's a financial advisor, and he literally said, he's like, I wonder when the next grift is going to happen, when the next tariff announcement is going to happen, so that he can tell his friends. And it was 2 or 3 days later, and he makes the announcement. It was well timed.
Yes. Now, I will admit, I shorted the market Friday, just a small position, because I figured he would wake up in a bad mood and do something silly. But it wasn't thinking of tariffs.
Especially 100% tariffs, right? That's just, it's just nonsense. It's just a number he throws out there.
Yes, exactly. Just because he wants to feel like China isn't getting over on us, so he makes this outrageous claim, and then today backs off completely.
So I guess the question could be, people think that we all know, even though I said just laughing sarcastically, there's just two of us, that this should not be acceptable. But then maybe some people think, well, who does this really hurt?
I know of one story for sure of a young man who is no longer with us because he lost so much money Friday.
See that? I know from, if you remember the FTX debacle in the crypto with Sam Bankman-Fried, I was working in the blockchain space, and I actually know of about 3 of those stories that happened during that time, along with just complete catastrophe for like 100 or 200 different people that were literally crying and just didn't know how they were going to survive.
So, it affects real people, real Americans every day by this.
Yeah, because for every person that's gaining money, someone's losing money.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's very binary, and some people think that it's not binary, like it doesn't impact people, but it absolutely is completely binary.
And this 9 months of this administration, I'm sure this has happened with other administrations, maybe not to this extreme, but the stock market has hit so many highs and lows within this 9 months. It's clearly manipulation. And he's not the only one. I won't blame just the president. There's Nancy Pelosi, who's famous for her stock trades.
Yeah, and there's obviously many Tuberville of Alabama. There's all kinds of congressional leaders that have been trading off of insider information. And I always thought it was absurd for Nancy to say, well, this is just the way it is, and it's not that big of a deal, and we don't trade off of insider information. We just have large investments that we happen to trade, right? It's so nonsensical. So people think that I'm always like bashing Trump on this matter, but it just happens to be he's the grifter in chief.
Yes. Well, and I mean, they'll make trades that directly affects the committees that they're heading. That it's just shouldn't be acceptable.
It makes you wonder if is it supposed to help us pay for Israel's XYZ? Are they trying to they're trying to get more money to send over there?
I'm sure that it has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just
I guess you can't be ever too cynical, right? At this stage in life and with our politics, nothing is too cynical to think because it's probably not cynical at all. It's probably just reality.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
fortunately.
Well, let's see what happens with the markets tomorrow. Red Iron, I appreciate you coming on. I always appreciate seeing you in here. And yeah, if you want to jump in again, let me know.
Thank you guys. Y'all have a good
You
night.
too. Good night. Okay. All right. Anyone else want to jump into the box and try and defend this? And by the way, there I saw a comment that says, isn't out in taco? It's funny when I was making this prompt, I was like, do I really need this word out? It just sounded better like than tacoed out. I don't know.
And then when I read your prompt, I was like, taco, and I was like, what does that even mean?
Oh, you
And
weren't
then
familiar with it?
I had not heard that before. No.
Yeah, so it's famous on Wall Street. So it started in Wall Street where Trump always chickens out. So whatever he threatens, he'll always backtrack because he knows it will ultimately impact his, well, he's going to grift off of it first off, or people associated with him will grift, but he'll dump the stock market so high that he'll lose so much support from people losing so much money, right? And he also knows it's non-sustainable. So it seems like all these types of things are just short-term grifts.
Sure.
Like, that's how it's going to happen. A bunch of friends make $100 million or $1 billion, and then they move on, and then it's only would work with Trump because people like Xi or Putin don't take him serious enough when it comes to economic policy and committing to it. That they know that he's probably going to chicken out. And these are not like, well, Trump is, Russia's a weak country. They don't have much say, but anything that we do, there can be at this time, since we have similar size economies, it's not like China can't react at all. Yes, we have more impact on them because we import so much from them. But they also have aces up their sleeve, right? They have certain resources that we would like to have and other things. We have more effect on them than they do on us, but it's not completely like we're in globalism, right? So we're in a world economy. So we don't control everything. And if we continue to lose trust like we do, other countries will form other packs of economies and start to wean themselves off of the American system wherever they can.
But in a way, I mean, it should be. Oh, I don't know. Maybe not. I guess my mind thinks that it maybe should be not one country, or even just the United Nations. It should be something that's completely separate from factions.
Well, you remember, as we talked about, the United States and all of its presidents prior to Trump have generally endorsed the general same globalization and free trade policies. That has been a foreign policy concept that goes beyond a singular president. So we haven't needed to because all these things have benefited us more than anyone else. And of course, China has benefited from it tremendously as well. But like I've said in the past, these are the rules that we put into place. And he's not really changing the rules. Well, he is to some extent. He's trying to change the rules, but he's using it more of a manipulation tactic and a threat tactic than it is actually. And what it will do is it will drive away allies and other people that do business with it and look for different coalitions.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be different if they were like, back to the market thing for just a second. It'd be different if they're like, hey, everyone, if you want to get into crypto, we're going to tank the market tomorrow. So
Right.
now would be a time to put your money in. We're going to put the notice out to everyone's public service announcement.
Yeah. Let me equate it to something that happened in the past. Remember when Zelensky went to the Oval Office and then J.D. Vance totally ripped into him?
Yeah.
And Trump did as well. And that was the time where they were completely against Ukraine, or seemingly mostly against Ukraine. And then now lately they've doubled back and been pushing harder against Russia. But that event that happened, people might say, well, that was just a circus that happened in the Oval Office, and it doesn't have real-term consequences. So I'm going to use this example instead of using an economic one because I think it's more clear how it connects the dots. When that singular event happened and the United States was saying, and our administration was saying, we are no longer going to support you, Ukraine. You cannot win this war. You need to end it. We're no longer support you. People think, okay, that was just something that was said. It doesn't have real world impacts. No. every diplomat across NATO and in Ukraine, every single one of our allies said, including Poland, including the Baltics, and everyone said, shit, we may not be able to rely on the U.S. for our protection in the future, something that the U.S. established after World War II. We basically said, we will handle all the big problems. We just don't want you to rearm. We don't want Germany to rearm. We don't want an arms race on the European continent. And that was the trade that Europe made with the United States. We will protect them, no more wars, solve things diplomatically. That's why we had the UN. And people said, okay, that was the deal. And now what happened in that Oval Office is that the arms industry throughout Europe, every diplomat said, okay, the United States is no longer a trusted partner. And since that day, they've been ramping up their arms industry from Saab, the car manufacturer in Sweden, I think it is, who makes jets. They've been selling more jets, and they're working on a new generation fighter. The entire arms industry in Europe continues to expand. Germany is militarizing again like it hasn't since World War II. And this will not stop because every single one of those countries has decided that, and rightfully so. It could change depending on who the president is. We don't know if the United States will stand by our side. And that has so many cascading effects around the world. And the same thing happens to economic policy when we start to unilaterally make these tariffs and we no longer support globalism or free trade. The same thing happens. Countries in Africa may make alliances with China. Europe is making different deals with China and Australia and Japan. They're all trying to figure out if the United States can no longer become trusted and reliable with the rules of the game that they set up, we have to do other things. And that has cascading effects. So that meeting that happened doesn't have cascading effect for just a few weeks or a few months. That will have a cascading effect for decades to come. And you just can't predict how that event might impact Europe going to war in the future without our help and going to war, maybe even with each other, like NATO falling apart. You just don't know what might happen.
I don't know enough about that topic to really speak on it. I mean, I see my points of views differently, but and maybe not differently is the wrong word, but it's just there's such a macroeconomic thing going on that it's just hard to even wrap your mind around sometimes.
Yeah, well, just you have to always understand that the United States is the most powerful and the most influential country. So our actions, every action that we all take in life, any little action we take always has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So now you're just doing it on a scale that has millions of tentacles. And you just can never know. But usually you know that it's drastic change is usually not good. So I don't know if my analogy was clear to most people, but that's what happens in geopolitics when the most influential power is all over the map, right? And that happens with our economics as well. Like when you're, and I'm not suggesting tariffs are always bad. If Vietnam, for instance, is tariffing us and we're not tariffing them, we should have an isolated tariff. And I think that is one of the examples that holds true. But to just use it as a threatening tool, we've used it against Europe. We've used it as a threatening tool against Europe. We've used it against, I think, Australia and everybody, based Canada as well, right? We've used it against Canada and Mexico, which are our two biggest trading partners.
I mean, obviously, we don't want to completely tarnish those relationships, but I think the world understands that America's or our system is it's 4 years and then the system completely changes, based on whoever's in there. So I feel like I don't know, maybe they don't put much weight into it. That maybe, it sounds, it's very scary, fearful. You don't want everybody to completely go against us, but I think there's some other things in our back pocket. Like clearly we're not being governed by ourselves. We're not governing ourselves. We're being governed and lobbied and X, Y, and Z. So I I think they're not dumb. I think they understand.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we wore out this topic for tonight. Come back probably with another topic. Thanks for everybody for joining. If anyone, unless someone else wants to join and give us your thoughts about this fraud, we'll see how it goes tomorrow with the markets, and we'll see if this was just a big con job for today, and if the markets recover tomorrow, and go from there.
See you, TK.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Global. See you soon. And thanks everybody else for watching. If you haven't already, please follow. Please watch one of my 3 pinned videos under my profile. And there's also a link to the plan to bring representation back to the people. The plan's right there. It's also in a link underneath my profile. Share one of those videos. And let's see what we can do over the next 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years. Let's see if we can bring enough people together, 50 to 70 million people. Because if you really want to rid our politics of corruption, there is a way to do it, but just takes a lot of people. So I'll see you probably this evening. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I will see you in the next live.
Making these trades. So to recap,